So say you had an exam tomorrow, you wanted to get the best grade. If the exam is tomorrow and you have to study today, you have very limited options. You can try to study for as much time as you want. You can try to call your friends, but there's really nothing you can do about paying more attention in class, or going to more classes, or doing more homeworks, or even changing how intelligent you are, your level of IQ. All of those things, you're too late. Those things will take time in order to change. So today, the options you have are very limited. You can perhaps change the number of hours you study. You can perhaps change the number of people you study with. If the exam is, let's say, in 2 months, and you're starting the class today, well, you have a lot more options. There are many more inputs that you can change. You can change perhaps how many classes you attend. You can change whether you purchase a textbook or not. If you're talking about what can you do today if the exam was in 2 years, well, in that case, you can even change perhaps the level of IQ that you have. So essentially what we are saying here is that it's a lot easier for any production process to change some inputs in the short term, but some inputs in the short term will be pretty much fixed. Now in the long term, pretty much you can change any inputs you have in any production process. Well, it works the same thing for firms. When they're trying to decide to increase output, let's say in the short term, in a period of a week or 2 weeks, regardless of what you produce, t-shirts in a factory, let's say, or cards in a factory, you probably can do it by changing variable inputs, things like labor and the amount of time you use the machines for. But if you want to change, let's say, the machines, or change or build a new plant, well, that takes time. There's going to be two basic time periods in which economists like to think about production. We think about the short term, the short run, and the long run. And there are no specific times that we define these two terms. We simply say that the short run is that time in which you're not going to be able to change some inputs. So if we say that the production process has two types of inputs like this one, labor and capital, then we say that in the short term, your production function is going to be in this way. You're going to have some inputs that you can change, let's call them labor, and then some inputs, let's call them capital, that you cannot change. And we don't define how long the short run is. We simply say that the short run is that time in which you cannot change some of those inputs, and we call capital those inputs. Now, the long run, on the other hand, we don't say how long it is, but we simply say that it's that period in which you will be able to change all of your inputs, all right, both labor and capital. So if you have a car manufacturing company, then the long run is going to be the time in which you have enough time to build a new plant, to buy new machines. The short run is going to be the time in which you cannot make those changes. So what we're going to do here in this chapter is we're going to start with the short run. We're going to derive some truth about that, and then we're going to move to the long run in which we let all the variables change.